now to the FICR. See, the new rules due to come in December. Yes. From our early discussions in the year, early this year, and also my own discussions with the suppliers, the consensus is most people are ready, or they have in place the protocols. They've been adopting those in order to meet that deadline. Just bring us up to date on some of the discussions with the confectionery working group, and just provide a little bit more information in terms of the confidence of the industry.
I think there's still a debate going on, to be honest with you. I think there are certain areas of the regulation that is causing serious concerns. I mean, the language issue is the big one. You know, we're not sure as yet what positions are going to be taken by each of the 28 member states of the EU. They've not made it clear yet. I think in principle, from what we understand, ETRC as an organisation is only in an advisory role. We're only providing, if you like, facilitating the discussions between the retailers and the suppliers. So we're not in a position to actually make policy on this one, so it's up to them. There is still some elements of the regulation that are still not clear. I think that what we understand is the majority of the suppliers are going to be in a position to comply with the regulations as it stands, but there are still some uncertainties because still some member states are not yet in a position to provide clarity in terms of what they're going to do in terms of implementation. As it's a regulation, there's no ability for member states to change the way or adjust the way they go, but it's a matter of how you fully apply it, whether you apply it rigorously, whether you have a little bit of leeway or timescales and so on. So still some questions there, but from my understanding from talking to our team is we have got some problems. We're trying to solve those problems, and we hopefully will be compliant within the timescale that the regulation requires. So there are still questions out there, but we're trying to find solutions for those.
What about cruise, ferry, cross-jurisdictional border channels? Because that presumably presents another problem.
Yes, it does. Again, if you look at the cruise lines, even the Mediterranean cruise lines, you may hit third country rather than all EU in terms of your journeys. And it's a matter of interpretation. What is the legislation that actually applies on board a cruise line? In principle, EU legislation, right, when you talk about cruise lines, if you've got a cruise line that's going between EU member states, then that cruise is actually classified as an intra-EU cruise, and therefore all the rules apply. If your cruise actually stops at a third country, say a cruise going from Italy to Morocco, and then back into Barcelona and so on, that's then classified as a third country cruise, and none of the EU rules in terms of taxation and so on in terms of the products that are sold and consumed on board apply. So there is still an uncertainty there about how do you apply it to what we call mobile retail operators. How do you actually apply rules when you've got several different jurisdictions throughout a particular cruise or a particular journey on a plane? And it's interesting that one of going just back to the airlines, for instance, the airline that's raised this as a starting point was actually Japan Airlines, because Japan Airlines is coming in from Japan to the EU, and they're saying, well, I provide pre-packed food on board for consumption on board, and under the rules I have to provide that in the language of the country in which I'm actually departing from. So I'm a Japanese airline, but I have to have my food labelled in French, German, Italian. There are certain areas within this regulation that still need to be sorted, and they still haven't got the answers to it yet. So cruise lines are just the same.